down there. You can see one right after the other.
Have you ever wondered, when the sky roars and the ground shakes, whether God is shouting out a warning to mankind about the end of the world rushing toward us like a whirlwind of fire? While the world is still busy chasing bright lights and comfort, strange signs are starting to rise up, coming fast, without warning, leaving no time for people to deny them. Water bursts up and tears apart roads. The earth quakes and swallows whole buildings. Wars rip the sky with fire and thunder. Clouds open strange green gates. Holy figures appear in the sunlight. Wind turns to flame. Islands explode. The night sky flashes signals. Monstrous shapes show up behind the clouds, and the whole universe seems to be on fire. 10 events. 10 warning bells. Not scattered, not random. They're linked together like a countdown. Are you ready to come with me and look behind the curtain of truth? So don't miss a single sign, okay? And now, so you don't have to wait any longer, let's get started right away with 1. Boiling water columns in the floodwaters in Redding, California. Just picture this. On a street you're familiar with, the ground doesn't crack open right away. Instead, murky brown floodwater starts pouring out, thick like raw mud. In the video I'm watching, everything happens so fast that the person holding the camera barely has time to figure out what's going on. There's this quick moment when you realize the water isn't flowing normally. It's churning from inside, like something stirring up the earth down below. The scene was captured at the intersection of West Side Road and El Reno LN in Redding, California, a busy urban area where folks are used to traffic lights and car noises more than natural disasters. The muddy water covers the whole road, heavy and thick, carrying along dirt, sand, and debris. Then suddenly, right out of that floodwater, huge columns of water shoot straight up, standing tall, swirling around, reaching dozens of feet high, as if the ground is gasping for air. It's not clear water, it's not rain, it's thick, muddy floodwater being forced back up from under the pavement with a powerful push that's hard to explain. Cars swerve, a few get shoved off course, and people back away in panic. In the video, I don't hear anyone yelling for help clearly, just broken sounds, crashes, and an odd silence when everyone realizes they're facing something out of their control. That footage reminds me of Genesis 7:11. In the 600th year of Noah's life, in the second month, on the 17th day of the month, on that day, all the fountains of the great deep burst forth, and the windows of the heavens were opened. The Bible doesn't just talk about rain from above. It stresses water surging up from the deep places. Those columns shooting up from the thick mud match that description exactly, a breaking open from below, not from the sky. Jesus also warned in Matthew 24:37-39, "For as were the days of Noah, so will be the coming of the Son of Man. They were eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage." The people in the video are the same way. No one was running for cover beforehand. No one was prepared. It all happened in the middle of everyday modern life. Experts were quick to explain it. Underground water pressure, broken pipes, worn-out infrastructure, or extreme weather effects. Those reasons make sense. But what makes the video stick with you isn't the explanation. It's how the thing erupted, from thick, muddy water, with strong force, at just the right moment, and completely without warning. When you're caught between the two views, science and the Bible, maybe the key isn't picking a side, but listening to the message. Because if this is just floodwater rising from the ground, the big question left is, what will happen when the earth itself under our feet starts to shake? 2. Earthquake brings down high-rise building in Bangkok. 7.7 on the Richter scale. It happened in just a few dozen seconds. A city with over 10 million people shook hard. The first cold numbers showed up on the breaking news, but behind them were scenes that stunned all of Southeast Asia. High-rise buildings swaying wildly, one structure collapsing completely. At least 3 people killed and nearly 100 missing. Bangkok, the symbol of growth and prosperity, suddenly became the center of fear. It all happened right in the heart of Bangkok, Thailand, where those glass and steel towers are still seen as signs of modern human strength and stability. From the videos going around, the ground moved like waves. The floors shifted sideways, then came crashing down with a deafening roar. Concrete dust rose up thick, covering miles around, blocking out the sky that's usually bright with city lights. News updates kept coming, strong shaking, long aftershocks, traffic completely stopped, people panicking and rushing into the streets. Geology experts warned about the risk of more weak buildings collapsing, calling for quick evacuations and no going back into high-rises. Bangkok, used to a fast-paced and controlled life, suddenly felt fragile against an invisible movement from deep in the earth. In the flood of information, many folks brought up the warning in Matthew 24:7. For nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines and earthquakes in various places. Earthquakes aren't mentioned as some rare accident, but as a repeating sign, happening along with the chaos in the human world. And in Revelation 16:18, the Bible describes an even harsher scene, and there were flashes of lightning, rumblings, peals of thunder, and a great earthquake, such as there had never been since man was on the earth. So great was that earthquake. Those words make a lot of people wonder, are the shakes we're seeing today just the start of something even worse? Of course, plenty of opinions say this is just a geology issue, or even faults in the design and building of the collapsed structure. Science gives fault maps, shaking data, and prediction models. But the real debate isn't whether earthquakes can happen, it's about their strength and how they hit the strongest symbols of what humans build. What do you think? Is this just a geological coincidence, or a reminder that no building is truly solid? Looking at the rubble in a modern city, the question for viewers isn't technical anymore, but about what you believe. Do you see this as just an accident? Or a sign that's repeating just like what was warned about long ago? Because if the ground is already shaking under those proud towers, what comes next when the lightning and sounds from the sky start showing up? 3. Russia's hypersonic missile strikes Ukraine with a strange appearance. You know, the Russia-Ukraine conflict is moving to a new level, where the news isn't just about ground fighting anymore, but scary headlines about hypersonic weapons. Thunder from hell. That's how international media put it, when Russia's Oreshnik missile was said to fly at Mach 10, tearing across the Eastern European sky in a flash, turning the air into an invisible battlefield full of worry. It happened over Ukraine, a country that's already been suffering from this long war. Amid ruined cities, air defense sirens blaring, alarm warnings going off nonstop, and millions of people looking up at the sky in fear. This wasn't just a military strike. It was a sign of a tech and power showdown that's getting harder to control. What really caught the world's attention wasn't just the speed or the destructive power, but the images captured in the dark night. A pale golden light ripping open the sky like a huge portal, followed by white streaks falling down in unpredictable paths, looking like shadowy figures gliding through the air. Many folks call it a physics effect, but plenty of others think it resembles angels from ancient writings. And now, we're left wondering, is what we see really just military technology? From a Bible viewpoint, that image brings to mind some familiar warnings. Revelation 8:5 says, "The angel took the censer, filled it with fire from the altar, and hurled it on the earth. And there came peals of thunder, rumblings, flashes of lightning, and an earthquake." And in Joel 2:30, the prophecy rings clear. "I will show wonders in the heavens above and signs on the earth below, blood and fire and billows of smoke." These verses don't prove what's happening now, but they put war in a bigger picture, where human violence always comes with signs of warning. Of course, opposing views popped up right away. Military experts say it's just a plasma effect, light created by friction and extreme speed. Scientists stress we shouldn't attach supernatural meaning to a physical phenomenon. Still, some voices point out that the random shapes, colors, and timing make this go beyond usual scientific explanations. At the crossroads of science, war, and faith, the clearest thing is how fragile we humans are. Whether seen as a weapon or a symbol, those bolts of lightning remind us that the path to destruction is always close when war has no end. And if flames on the ground and a glowing sky are just the opening act, the big question left open is, when war spreads from Earth to space, what will show up next in our skies? 4. A strange circle in the sky that looks like a mysterious portal. During what seemed like a regular flight, that moment came out of nowhere. The plane was gliding through a blanket of white clouds, the engines humming steadily, and passengers were dozing off or staring at their screens. Then, all of a sudden, through the small window, a strange sight appeared, one that made the person seeing it hold their breath and wonder, are there things quietly happening up in the sky that we've never really noticed? Thousands of feet up, in the vast open air, a clear circle of blue cloud stood out sharply, floating there as if it didn't follow the usual rules. It didn't break apart quickly like regular clouds or get torn by the wind. Instead, it drifted slowly, strangely quiet. The soft blue light reflecting the sun gave the whole thing an otherworldly feel, like an invisible gate slowly opening between sky and earth, where the line between what we can see and what we believe gets pretty thin. That moment brought a different kind of feeling, not loud or dramatic, but enough to quiet the heart. In the silence of the sky, that cloud circle hung there like a big question mark for all of us. We're flying higher than ever these days, but do we really understand what's going on above our heads? Or are we just passing by without catching the deeper meaning? The Bible talks about signs in the sky as God's own way of speaking. Luke 21:25 says, "There will be signs in the sun, moon, and stars. On the earth, nations will be in anguish and perplexity at the roaring and tossing of the sea." These images aren't meant to explain science. They're like a key to help us see that the heavens are where God speaks too. Ezekiel 1-4 describes another vision. "I looked, and I saw a windstorm coming out of the north, an immense cloud with flashing lightning and surrounded by brilliant light." That cloud wasn't just a cloud. It stood for a holy presence beyond everyday understanding. Of course, weather experts have their own explanations. They talk about rare cloud formations, light refraction, or special pressure conditions at high altitudes. From a scientific view, it might just be an unusual but totally natural atmospheric pattern. One side sees the laws of physics. The other sees a message of faith. Both views sit side by side, and it's not easy to say which one is the final answer. So what about us? When we're caught between those two ways of looking at it, what do you choose to believe? A random act of nature, or a gentle sign from God, reminding us to look up and think deeper? Maybe the real point isn't proving one or the other, but what that cloud circle stirred up inside us. Because if it was just a cloud, why did it leave so many people silent like that? And if it was some kind of symbolic gate, then the open question is, as the heavens slowly open up, are we ready to look straight at whatever's waiting on the other side? 5. A strange cloud that looks like Jesus. Holy. It's hard to think of any other word when that video starts playing. No screaming, no panic, just a moment when the sky seems to slow down, like time is holding its breath. The camera shakes a little as it points upward, and right away, you're drawn into an image that touches your heart in a way you can't ignore. Up in the big sky, against the bright but gentle sunlight, a cloud with an unusual shape slowly appears. It looks like a person standing tall, with a clear head and body, arms held out in front, as if blessing or welcoming someone. A soft golden glow spreads behind it, not blinding, but warm and gentle, covering the whole figure and giving a feeling of holiness that's hard to put into words. What makes this moment so special isn't just the shape, but the feeling it brings. In those few short seconds of the video, everything seems set apart from the noisy rush of everyday life. We're used to seeing clouds as shapeless blobs, but here, this one has a form that's so familiar, it makes witnesses go quiet. And in that quiet, you can almost feel a presence that's more than just chance. The Bible has long used clouds to talk about God's presence, like a gentle but serious warning. Psalm 97:2 says, "Clouds and thick darkness surround him. Righteousness and justice are the foundation of his throne." Clouds don't just hide, they signal holiness and authority. Revelation 1-7 goes on, "Look, he is coming with the clouds, and every eye will see him, even those who pierced him." Those words turn the image in the video from just something you see into a quiet reminder that the Lord is still here. Of course, there are different opinions. Some scientists call it pareidolia, where the brain sees familiar patterns in random things like clouds or shadows. To them, the sunlight and cloud structure just happened to create an illusion. But those who saw it argue that the shape is too clear, too balanced, and the feeling too deep to be mere coincidence. The video doesn't force anyone to believe, but it points to something hard to overlook. In the vast sky, there are moments that make us look up and think. It might just be a cloud, but it could also be a gentle nudge that the Lord is still calling people to turn back before stronger signs come. And if this peaceful figure is just the beginning, then when the sky isn't gentle anymore, when the light turns to fire, are we ready to face what's waiting ahead? 6. A strange judgment fire appears in a flash during the storm. How can you even call it a storm when the wind doesn't just knock things down? It glows? Fire is supposed to burn things up. Wind is supposed to scatter everything. So what happens when the two mix together without destroying a single thing? That moment left a lot of folks standing there frozen. And it makes us wonder too, is this just nature playing a trick? Or is it a sign that we're deliberately ignoring? It happened during a fierce storm, with the sky pitch black and the wind howling like it wanted to rip everything apart. Right in the middle of all that chaos, little flashes of light suddenly showed up inside the gusts. Faint at first, then getting clearer. The wind started turning pinkish red, see-through, swirling around like ribbons of living fire, moving freely through the rain and thunder. The scary part wasn't the destruction, because that fire didn't burn trees or houses. It was more like something beyond the physical, real, yet totally strange. The people who saw it said it gave them chills down their spine more than plain fear. In a storm that was already bad enough, this fire didn't make things worse, but it turned the whole scene unreal, like nature was putting on a show that broke all the usual rules. We're used to fire meaning destruction, but here it just existed, quiet, majestic, more like a sign than a weapon. Weather experts were quick to explain it. They said it might be a rare plasma phenomenon, or air getting ionized in the super strong electric field of the storm, mixing with dust and water vapor to create that odd colored glow. Some mentioned street, Elmo's fire, that glowing from electric charge that sailors have seen in big thunderstorms. Science says it's light, not real fire, so it doesn't cause any burning. But the Bible offers a different way to look at it, not denying nature, but going beyond it. Joel 2:3 says, "Before them fire devours, behind them a flame blazes." Revelation 8-7 adds, "The first angel sounded his trumpet, and there came hail and fire mixed with blood, and it was hurled down on the earth." Here, fire isn't just physical. It's a symbol of warning, of purification before the real judgment comes. Put the two explanations side by side, one from science, talking about ions and charges, the other from Scripture, talking about fire as a holy sign. And the question isn't which one's absolutely right. The real question is, do we see this event as just a rare accident, or as a reminder that the world is heading into deeper trouble? That pink fire wind didn't destroy anything, But it sure didn't calm anyone down either. It felt like a warning we can still act on, like a yellow light before it turns red. And if this is just fire that hasn't started burning yet, then when the next signs come, will we still have time to understand and turn back? Or will everything get way beyond what we can handle? 7. Island in the ocean explodes, creating a smoke column shaped like a strange face. Boom! A huge explosion ripped through the air, echoing across the vast ocean, like the sea itself had just woken up angry. No warning siren, no signs beforehand, that island just blew up out of nowhere, sending a massive column of smoke shooting straight into the sky. Folks watching from far away held their breath. The blast happened way out at sea, in a spot where hardly any people are around. No buildings, no cities, just water and rock. That loneliness made it even spookier, because nobody could blame it on something humans did wrong. In an instant, the ocean surface shook, waves crashed wildly, and a giant gray-black smoke column stood tall, thousands of feet high, like a pillar holding up the sky from the deep. At first, it was just smoke, but as the column spread out and twisted slowly, something hard to believe started to appear. Right in the swirling layers, a face took shape, clear enough to give you chills, deep eye sockets, rough features, an expression like it was screaming or rising from the dark. In that moment, reality seemed to slip into something else, where science and the supernatural touched in a cold way. Right away, opinions split. Some experts said it was just an underwater volcano erupting, with wind and pressure shaping the smoke by chance, and the face was pareidolia, that thing where our brains see familiar patterns in random stuff. But others argued the shape was too balanced, too sharp to be pure coincidence. So if it's not random, what do you think we're seeing coming from the deep ocean? The Bible has long described scenes like this as a warning to a world that's gone astray. Revelation 9:2 says, "It opened the shaft of the bottomless pit, and from the shaft rose smoke like the smoke of a great furnace." That smoke rising from the pit isn't just a natural thing, it's a symbol of darkness being set free. Joel 2:30 goes on, "I will show wonders in the heavens and on the earth, blood and fire and columns of smoke." Those smoke columns aren't meant to comfort, they're an accusation against a world that's ignored the warnings. Looking at this event that way, the face in the smoke column isn't just an illusion anymore. It turns into a symbol, reminding us of those dark forces the Bible talks about, rising up when moral order breaks down. Not to scare us into panic, but to warn that there are lines we shouldn't cross. The explosion has died down now, the smoke has cleared, but that face still haunts a lot of people's minds. And if signs this frightening are already coming from the deep sea, then when the night sky over bright cities starts sending strange signals, could that be the next warning for mankind? 8. A strange golden light flickered across the night sky like a warning signal. The city at night glowed like a lively jewel, with streetlights, billboards, and tall buildings blending together into a familiar, fancy scene. People looked up at the sky just to see the quiet dark above all that man-made light, and we still thought everything was under control. But then, in the middle of that usual sparkle, something odd started happening, enough to make anyone who saw it slow down and watch. Against the dark night sky, a big cloud drifted quietly over the city. No rain, no heavy storm, but inside that cloud layer, a golden light began flashing over and over. It wasn't the usual white-blue lightning bolt. These were warm but rapid pulses of light, turning on and off like an urgent signal coming from somewhere unseen. The rhythm was quick and steady, making you feel like it wasn't just random, it was some kind of code being sent out. The more you watched, the stranger it got. The golden light didn't spread out like regular lightning, and it didn't flash once and vanish. It kept blinking, repeating, lighting up the edges of the cloud as if the sky was turning on a warning light. In that moment, the contrast stood out clear. Down below was the fancy, noisy city, soaked in artificial light. Up above was the dark sky, where a strange signal was quietly coming through. And that difference made it hard for a lot of folks to ignore. The Bible has mentioned signs like this as warnings. Luke 21:11 says, "There will be great signs from heaven, and there will be great earthquakes, famines, and pestilences in various places." Those great signs from heaven don't always mean instant destruction. They could be signals, gentle reminders before things get out of hand. Psalm 19:1 goes on, "The heavens declare the glory of God, the skies proclaim the work of his hands." So the sky isn't silent, it's always speaking. The question is whether people are willing to listen. Of course, scientists have a different explanation. They say that golden light could be lightning inside the cloud, bent by city light pollution, or just reflections from streetlights bouncing off low clouds. According to science, there's no message here, just a mix of weather conditions and man-made light. But when you put the two views side by side, one as a sign described in the Bible, the other as plain physics, the real question isn't about picking sides. It's this: why are phenomena like this showing up more and more, right over the busiest cities, where people feel most sure of their own power? The golden light finally faded, the cloud drifted away, and the city went back to its usual rhythm. But that uneasy feeling lingered. If this was just a gentle reminder from the sky, what will happen when the next signs aren't so mild anymore, but come at the moment nobody expects? 9. The shadow of a many-headed dragon behind the green clouds. It wasn't fully light yet. The streetlights were still flickering, and morning mist hung on the rooftops when thick clouds started rolling in from the horizon. What was odd was that among the usual gray of dawn, a strange green glow spread through the clouds, cold and deep, like it was warning of an unusual storm. In that moment, while the city was still half asleep, it was hard not to feel uneasy, as if the sky was hiding something. The sighting was captured in a normally quiet neighborhood. No sirens, no heavy rain, just dark green clouds swirling slowly overhead. Then, sudden green flashes of lightning lit up. Not bright and glaring, but dim and eerie, enough to outline a vague shape inside the clouds. It was a huge form, long and twisting, with parts sticking out that looked like several heads and widespread wings hanging there in the sky. What made the video so shocking wasn't how clear it was, but how blurry and uncertain. The footage shakes a bit. No one knows where it really came from, and it's been shared like crazy on social media. Some frames make it look like a dragon moving. Others are so fuzzy, it's hard to tell what's cloud and what's something else. That uncertainty leaves viewers hesitating, curious but cautious, torn between fear and common sense. Many folks say it's just an optical illusion, a mix of thick clouds, green light from the lightning, and the camera angle accidentally creating a shape we've all imagined before. Skeptics point out the video has no details, no clear location, nothing solid to prove it. But plenty of others wonder, why does that shape match ancient Bible descriptions so closely? Revelation 12:3 says, "Then another sign appeared in heaven. Behold, a great red dragon with 7 heads and 10 horns, and on its heads 7 crowns." Daniel 7:7 describes, "After this I saw in the night visions, and behold, a fourth beast, dreadful and terrible, exceedingly strong." In the Bible, dragons and beasts aren't just pictures. They stand for dark powers, rebellion, and the chaos of the end times. Looking at the video alongside those words, a lot of people don't claim it's a real dragon, but they see it as something worth thinking about. Maybe the sky isn't showing a supernatural creature, but reflecting fears, unrest, and warnings spoken about thousands of years ago. Faith here doesn't mean blind belief. It calls us to stay alert. That shadowy figure eventually faded into the clouds. The green glow dimmed as the sun came up. But the question lingers. If symbolic images like this keep showing up more often in the sky and in our minds, is it just a trick of the light, or a sign that bigger things are getting close? 10. A blurry planet burning up in the sky. Nobody was ready for that moment. In the middle of a crowded square, with lights everywhere, people chatting and laughing, and everyday life just flowing along, the sky suddenly stole everyone's attention. A hazy ball appeared way up high, not like the moon, and definitely not the sun. And in just a few seconds, it burst into fierce flames, as if the whole universe was ripping apart right in front of us. From the videos going around lately, that ball looked like a planet drained of all its energy. The light around it pulled in, went dark, then exploded into bright streaks of fire. From up above, red-orange trails fell down like raining fire, long and heavy, feeling so real and so close that the crowd below froze in fear and amazement. The thing is, no one can confirm where the video came from. No one knows the exact place or time, just that it was supposedly shot in a big square with hundreds of people all looking up. Some folks screamed, others stood still like statues. And what about you? If you'd been there right then, how would you have reacted? Arguments broke out fast. Some say it's just a meteor, or some sky event exaggerated by the camera angle and lighting. But others pushed back, saying the size of the ball, how long it burned, and that energy being sucked away, feel in the video don't match any ordinary meteor. True or not, no one can deny those images hit our deepest fear about the end of everything. In the Bible, scenes like this aren't new. Revelation 8:10 says, "The third angel blew his trumpet, and a great star blazing like a torch fell from the sky onto a third of the rivers and on the springs of water." And 2 Peter 3:10 warns, "But the day of the Lord will come like a thief. The heavens will disappear with a roar, the elements will be destroyed by fire, and the earth and everything done in it will be laid bare." These words aren't just descriptions. They're like a final judgment on the old world. They don't pin down the exact time or how it happens, but they stress that everything we can see will one day be shaken and purified. Seeing these next to the videos going around, a lot of folks feel the line between prophecy and reality is thinner than ever. Maybe this is just an unverified video, something made with tech or imagination. But maybe it's a wake-up call, hitting straight at how indifferent we've gotten to sacred things. When all the signs spoken of long ago seem to be coming together, the real question isn't what's going to happen, but if the day of judgment comes suddenly, like a thief in the night, are you ready to face it? And that's it. We've just gone through 10 strange events that got recorded and caught everyone's attention lately. Which one made you stop and think the most? Let us know your answer in the comments below. When I look back at all 10 of these events that have happened, from the ground shaking and society turning upside down, to strange signs keep showing up in the sky, it's hard to think they're just random coincidences. Each one is like a link in a chain, connecting things from nations all the way to the universe, from the everyday stuff we touch to things we can only look up at in fear and awe. It's all coming together into a bigger picture, like the end times aren't some far-off future anymore, but knocking on our door every day. These 10 signs didn't all hit at once. They came one after another, reminding us, then warning us, then waking us up. Some happened right in the middle of fancy cities. Some flashed across quiet night skies. Some left whole crowds stunned and silent. When you put them together, you see one clear message running through. This familiar world isn't as solid as we thought, and we don't have much time left to stay indifferent. The Bible talked about this a long time ago. Matthew 24:6-7 says, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. Nation will rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places." These words aren't just describing events. They're a reminder that it's all part of God's plan to wake us up, to pull people out of their spiritual sleep. Through all 10 of these events, the main message isn't to spread fear, but to wake up our hearts. The Lord isn't silent about humanity's fall. He's using the heavens and the earth themselves to speak. Joel 2:12 says clearly, "Even now, declares the Lord, return to me with all your heart, with fasting and weeping and mourning." That's a call to repent, without delay, without excuses. So, The right way to respond to these signs isn't panic, it's to bow our heads, repent, pray, and put your full trust in Jesus Christ, the only one who gives salvation. Romans 10:9 tells us, "If you declare with your mouth that Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead, you will be saved." Right now, you can leave a short prayer down in the comments, or just share your honest thoughts about what I've said here. No need for fancy words, just from the heart. Every prayer is a step back toward him. Every comment is a response to that call from above. If you're feeling that pull, go ahead and like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss any more of these warnings. This isn't just content, it's alarm bells ringing steady in these last days. Thanks for listening all the way through. May the Lord bless and keep you on your walk of faith.
Snow is falling across parts of northern Saudi Arabia as an intense weather system grips the kingdom.
Do you notice it? Every single day, the world out there keeps throwing more troubles that threaten people's lives. Bad news just keeps pouring in like waves crashing. Time feels squeezed tight, and the future seems shaky right in front of us. The world is reeling just like the Bible warned. Collapse in Brazil, snow covering the Saudi Arabian desert, streets boiling in Australia, drones roaring over the Mediterranean, bizarre festivals in the Austrian Alps, and bloodshed in Aleppo, everything hitting at once, without warning. Is this just coincidence, or pieces of a script that's already been written? If time really is running short, what will you choose to believe before it's too late? So don't miss the messages that God has cleverly placed through these shocking news stories below. Come with me as we pierce through the veil of truth, dig deep into the events shaking the world, and uncover what they really mean. Right now, I'll start with the hottest news of the day. 1. Dam completely shattered in Brazil, floodwaters swallow up a town, signs of the end times rolling in. Boom! A huge explosion shook everything, no warning siren, no time to get ready. In just a moment, the dam at Ponte Alta do Bom Jesus in Tocantins State, Brazil, gave way like some invisible hand pulled out its last support. The water rushed out, fast and merciless, sweeping away things that used to feel so familiar. Nobody expected an ordinary morning to start like that. Ponte Alta do Bom Jesus is a small, quiet town where the Ribeirão River runs through like part of the slow pace of life. The dams around there have been standing for decades, long enough that folks got used to them and figured everything was under control. Heavy rains went on for days. There were technical warnings, local news reports, all of it showed up, then got ignored, like so many times before. That was until the morning of the 19th. Water rose over the dam wall more than 15 meters high, poured down into a flood hundreds of meters wide, turning streets into rivers and rooftops into makeshift shelters. Rescue teams had to use boats and helicopters to get people out of the low areas where the water rose faster than anyone could react. No official word on deaths yet, but hundreds of families lost their homes in just a few hours, leaving behind empty spaces that are hard to put into words. Pictures from above show bridges broken apart, land cracked open, tiny figures of people on rooftops waiting for help. The Watchers News called it a sudden flood, but for the folks there, it was the moment they realized something they thought was solid could vanish so quick. That feeling of normal doesn't come back after the water goes down. Some point to climate change, El Niño, old infrastructure, and not enough upkeep. Those explanations make sense, and they're important. But then another question comes up, real quiet. If it's all just technical stuff and weather, why do these same kinds of collapses keep happening in different places, almost at the same time, with that same fragile feeling? In the Bible, There are words that don't shout or push, they just sit there quietly, like a distant echo. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Matthew wrote that. Not tied to any one place, no specific date or time. Reading it now, in light of this, it doesn't feel like a final answer, more like a gentle reminder that makes you stop and think. Maybe what's worth noticing isn't just naming the causes, but the shared feeling that's spreading. Things we thought were stable aren't as sure anymore. One dam breaking in Brazil might just be a single event, but it could also be the first crack in a surface we still believe is safe. And if one support gave way so quietly like that, the question left is, how many others are quietly taking on pressure we haven't noticed yet? 2. Snow blankets, the Saudi Arabian desert. The Saudi Arabian desert, long known as a place of scorching heat and burning sand, suddenly got covered in thick white snow. The golden dunes vanished overnight, replaced by a chilly scene no one there had ever expected. Local folks rushed outside in total amazement, skiing on the desert sands, tossing snowballs in what used to be the driest spot on Earth. But is this just a rare treat from nature, or something that's got us all wondering? It happened in the Tabuk and Hale areas, up in northern Saudi Arabia, where summer temperatures often top 100 degrees Fahrenheit. News outlets like Al Arabiya and Khalij Times reported that a strong weather system from the Mediterranean pushed cold air deep into the Arabian Peninsula, causing this unusual cold snap. The Jabal al-Lawz area, over 8,000 feet high and rarely seeing snow, got hit hard this time, with snow spreading out and affecting thousands of people living nearby. Over the 2 days of the 18th and 19th, snow piled up to about 6 inches deep, turning the desert into a giant ski slope stretching for miles. Videos shared by NDTV and on social media showed cars slipping on icy roads, mountains all white, and faces full of shock and delight. There weren't any major damages reported, but traffic slowed down in spots, and officials put out warnings about slippery conditions and possible accidents. Weather experts say this is a rare event but not completely unheard of. Records from the Saudi Meteorological Authority show similar cold spells happened about 8 decades ago. They tie it to global climate change and strong shifts in the atmosphere, pointing out that science can explain most of what's going on. But the Bible offers another way to look at it. Joel 2:33-1 talks about wonders in the heavens and on the earth, and Matthew 24-29 mentions the powers of the heavens being shaken before the great day. For many believers, snow on the desert isn't just odd weather. It's a sign that things are being turned upside down, just like the old warnings said. Of course, there's a lot of debate. Some folks say linking the Bible to the weather is just emotional thinking, that it's only a rare natural cycle. But the question hangs in the air. If it's just random, why do these big upsets keep happening in a world already full of trouble? And is science enough to ease the deeper worries people feel? What about you? What do you see in that white snow out in the desert? An interesting weather event, or a wake-up call that makes us think about our faith and what we're doing? No matter which side you're on, one thing's clear. Things we thought would never change are shifting fast. For those who believe in the Lord, it's a call to turn back and stay alert. For skeptics, it's a reminder of how fragile nature really is. And the big question remains, if the Saudi desert can freeze over, what's next to get turned around? Is this just a one-time wonder, or the start of even bigger changes ahead? 3. Millions of Australians rise up in Sydney and Melbourne, taking over the streets against radical Islam and Prime Minister Albanese. The religious war. Just as you and I wake up and get ready for another ordinary day, over in Australia, the political and social atmosphere is heating up fast, as calls to take over the streets in Sydney and Melbourne spread quickly on social media. Many groups calling themselves patriots say they'll hit the streets to protest extremism and criticize Prime Minister Anthony Albanese's government, raising worries about a new wave of unrest in a country usually seen as pretty stable. This tension started from a serious violent attack in the Bondi area of Sydney that shocked and angered people across Australia. International news outlets like CNN and NPR reported the incident as influenced by extremist ideas, sparking heated debates about security, immigration, and what the government is responsible for. In that setting, Sydney and Melbourne, these two big economic hubs with lots of people, have become focal points for opposing feelings. From what's being shared online, the gatherings are planned at iconic spots like Bondi Pavilion and Federation Square. Participants are encouraged to bring signs against Prime Minister Albanese and demanding tough action on extremist groups. Authorities in New South Wales have warned about the risks of illegal assemblies and deployed a large security force to prevent violence and keep public order. From a social science viewpoint, many experts say this is a familiar chain reaction after security shocks. Collective fear, mixed with social media, can turn quickly into a mass movement. On the political side, the Albanese government insists it's handling the situation with hate laws and extra security measures, while urging people not to let emotions drive their actions. On the other hand, secular observers warn that framing the event as a religious conflict could make divisions worse. They compare this wave to big protests in Australia before, saying it's mostly a crisis of trust in politics, rather than signs of a full-blown religious war. Still, they admit that extremist trends are rising worldwide. But looking at it from another angle, the Bible is mentioned by many as a different way to interpret things. Matthew 24 talks about rumors of wars and nations rising against nations, while Revelation describes peace being taken from the earth. For some believers, those words ring out as a reminder that division and conflict are signs of a deeper time of unrest. This news shows an Australia at a sensitive crossroads where science, politics, and faith all speak up but haven't found common ground yet. And the big question still hangs in the air. If this wave of unrest hasn't stopped in Australia, are other societies getting closer to a similar scenario? Or is this just the opening act for bigger changes ahead? 4. Ukraine attacks a tanker linked to China's flag in the Mediterranean. Drones buzzing, ship on fire, war spreading to the open sea. When news broke about the drone attack on the tanker Kendil in the Mediterranean, most folks' first reaction was shock and doubt. A strike coming from thousands of miles away, happening far from Ukrainian waters, right in the middle of international shipping lanes. That alone sends a strong message, not just military or political, but something deeper. Looking at the bigger picture, I see tensions building out on the ocean. The Ukraine-Russia war was mostly thought of as a land fight, but now it's spilling over into energy routes. Those tankers in the so-called shadow fleet have long been watched for dodging sanctions. When a ship flying a third country's flag, sailing in neutral waters, becomes a target, the old lines of safety start to fade. Short videos released by Ukraine, picked up by outlets like BBC and Politico, show drones approaching the deck, causing heavy damage but not sinking it since the ship was empty. That detail matters. This wasn't meant to destroy completely, but to warn. It says distance no longer protects you, and the open sea isn't a safe buffer anymore. Clearly, the nature of war is changing. Cheap, long-range drones can shake up global supply chains without needing a big navy. When energy gets threatened at sea, every economy gets dragged in. It's proof that modern conflicts don't need a formal declaration to spread. They do it through technology. Some argue this is just a tactic to put economic pressure on Russia. There's truth to that, since Kyiv has long targeted energy cash flows. But the method and location point to something bigger. A precedent has been set. Once that's there, others will follow suit, and the oceans become a shared battlefield. Here, the Bible comes in as a key to understanding the deeper layers. Ezekiel 38 talks about swords turning against one's own brothers, and Revelation describes fire, smoke, and sulfur pouring out in battle. Not to force a view, but to shed light. Those ancient images match the feeling of a world where conflict spreads beyond human control. This strike in the Mediterranean isn't just another military headline. It's a sign the war has moved into new territory, where borders feel fragile. When the open sea loses its neutrality, we're getting closer to widespread unrest. And when a historic sea like the Mediterranean sees smoke rising, eyes have to look farther out. If the Mediterranean isn't calm anymore, how long will the other oceans stay peaceful? Or is this just the first door swinging open? 5. The Street Nicholas and Krampus Parade in the Austrian Alps. Demons flood the streets. A festival turns into a supernatural nightmare. The first feeling that hits you is a chill when you see pictures from the Austrian Alps. Tall figures in scary devil masks, curved horns, dark red fur, pouring down narrow streets surrounded by snow-covered mountains. The sound of bells, whips cracking, and roaring voices all mixed together, creating a scene that's both mysterious and frightening. Looking at it, who could really feel at peace inside? The Krampuslauf, the parade tied to St. Nicholas, is an old tradition in places like Salzburg and Innsbruck. Most people explain it as a folk ritual that blends ancient beliefs with Christianity, where evil is acted out so good can win in the end. Thousands of people take part, and thousands of tourists come to see it, treating it like a lively winter cultural event that's noisy but harmless. If you look closer, you see the familiar structure of the procession. 2 young women in white dresses lead the way, standing for purity. Behind them comes St. Nicholas with his staff and bishop's hat. And all around are the fierce Krampus figures, yelling and threatening the crowd. People laugh, take videos, and cheer, while those devilish faces become the center of attention. From an everyday point of view, you could say it's just a costume festival, a way for everyone to let off steam together, or a winter tourist attraction. From a cultural angle, it's what's left of old pagan beliefs that got mixed into Christianity over time. These explanations make sense, and they help a lot of folks feel more at ease with all the chaos. But when you look at this through the light of the Bible, another layer of meaning quietly shows up. The second letter to Timothy warns that in the last days, people will get used to pride, boasting, and turning values upside down. Revelation describes strange creatures, part human and part animal, appearing during times of trial. This isn't to condemn one particular festival, but to remind us that the line between symbols and actually honoring something can be very thin. What really bothers us isn't the tradition itself, it's how normal the darkness has become. When images of demons turn into fun, when scary things become entertainment, faith can easily grow numb. People stop being shocked by evil and just feel curious or amused. Some say seeing demons in a parade helps remind folks that evil exists, so they stay away from it. Others think it's just harmless modern play acting. Both views are out there, and each person picks what makes sense to them. For us, the Krampus Parade is a gentle but deep reminder. As the world gets louder with twisted images of darkness, our faith needs to stay more awake than ever, not to be afraid, but to clearly tell the real light from everything else. And if the streets of the Alps are used to seeing devil figures cheered on by crowds, what other masks will darkness wear in other places before people realize they've gone too far? 6. Odessa battles Russian geranium drones, missiles lighting up the sky like fireworks. Ukraine loses patience and hits back. In the middle of the night, the sky over Odessa suddenly lit up like it was being torn apart. Waves of Russia's German 2 drones came screaming in, buzzing like a swarm of metal insects carrying fire and explosives, turning this Black Sea port city into a blazing war zone. Flashes kept going off. Explosions shook the ground, and the whole world had to take notice. Can you feel how the pace of this war is picking up hour by hour? Odessa isn't just any city. It's a key gateway, the lifeline for shipping goods, food, and energy out of Ukraine to the rest of the world. When Russia pours its firepower here, the message is clear. The fighting has shifted to the sea, and things are ramping up to a new level. From the 12th to the 14th, according to international reports, more than 300 drones and missiles rained down on the area, leaving millions in the dark without power. Pictures from the scene paint a breathless picture. Ukraine's air defenses worked overtime, streaking trails of fire across the night sky like desperate slashes in the darkness. 133 drones were shot down, but not everything was stopped. Some strikes got through, damaging homes, ports, even hitting foreign merchant ships. People in Odessa crowded into shelters, listening to the blasts like a countdown. The scary part isn't just the numbers, it's the rhythm. Drones flying in packs, missiles following one after another, attacks coming from sea and sky at the same time. This isn't scattered hits anymore. It's an organized storm of fire. When Ukraine has to strike back harder, the cycle of escalation starts feeding itself. The war isn't just on maps now. It's burning through every hour, every minute. In the middle of all this, the Bible rings out like a chilling warning bell. Ezekiel 39:6 talks about fire falling on Magog and those living by the coast, almost like it's describing exactly what's happening as attacks pour in from the sea. Joel 2 paints a picture of fire devouring in front and behind, leaving everything barren, a scene that's all too familiar in cities covered in smoke and rubble today. These words aren't meant to scare people, but to wake them up. When fire comes all at once from land to sea, when modern weapons make distance meaningless, it's a sign the world is entering a more dangerous phase. War isn't far away anymore. It spreads fast like a virus. And all it takes is one big spark. Odessa isn't just fighting for itself. What's burning in the skies over this city is a warning that the fuse for a bigger conflict is being lit day by day. Time isn't on humanity's side, and staying alert is something we can't put off. And as Odessa burns red in the night, that haunting question still hangs in the air. If this ring of fire keeps spreading, is there any city that can stay out of it? Or will the world's skies all light up at once like a sign that can't be undone? 7. Gang shoots down 2 brothers at Aleppo. Gold shop. Robbery. Jews threatened. Middle East violence erupts. A nightmare right in the heart of the old city. An armed robbery at a gold shop in Aleppo quickly turned into a tragedy when gunfire rang out in the busy shopping street. In just a moment, a familiar place where people made their living became a scene of heartbreak, leaving the whole community in shock. Aleppo, once the bustling trade center of the Middle East, is still struggling to recover after years of war. The Al-Halak area, full of gold shops, is an important trading spot, but faces shaky security. The mix of poverty, unemployment, and loose control has given violent crime a chance to rise, especially at night. According to local reports, on the evening of the 19th, an armed group stormed the Nasso shop. In the chaos, the 2 brothers who owned the store, Nasso and Yaman, were killed, along with a young person who was there. The attackers quickly grabbed a large amount of gold and got away. Videos spreading on social media showed panicked crowds, cries of sorrow, and people feeling helpless against the sudden violence. No need to dramatize it. The tragedy of those 2 brothers is heartbreaking enough on its own. They were just small business owners, holding on in a city scarred by war to support their families. The fact that they were Jewish has made the community even more worried, because in the tense Middle East, any act of violence can easily be seen through the lens of ethnicity or religion. But in this story, what matters most first is the loss of real people, not the labels they carried. After the incident, different opinions popped up quickly. Some say it was just a robbery in a time of weak security, with no religious motive. Others fear that Jews are becoming easy targets, and violence like this could heighten fears in minority communities. Both views reflect the same reality. Ongoing instability makes it harder to tell the difference between ordinary crime and hate-driven attacks. Looking at the event through a biblical lens, a clear warning comes to mind. Matthew 24:12 says that as lawlessness increases, people's love will grow cold. Jeremiah warns about a false peace, where folks try to reassure each other that things are fine, while violence quietly spreads. These words aren't pointing fingers at any one group, but reminding us that moral decline often starts when people get used to violence. In the end, the shooting in Aleppo is sad news, not just because of what happened to those two brothers and their family, but because it shows how fragile life is in a world still full of brokenness. When violence feels like it could happen anytime, that's when we all need to pause, wake up, and ask ourselves, what is really guiding our hearts? And that's it. We've just gone through all 7 big world events from these past days, showing how unsettled humanity is right now, and how our future feels threatened too. Which one made you stop and think the most? Feel free to share in the comments below. 7 events, 7 hotspots, 7 pieces that seem unrelated, but when you put them together, they form a big picture that's almost suffocating. From strange natural disasters, social chaos, fraud, violence, to bloodshed in ancient streets, everything isn't happening one after another in order, but all at once, piling up like drumbeats pounding on the chest of our time. These aren't just isolated news stories anymore. They're a wave. 7 events, 7 hotspots, 7 pieces that seem unrelated, but when you put them together, they form a big picture that's almost suffocating. From strange natural disasters, social chaos, fraud, violence, to bloodshed in ancient streets, everything isn't happening one after another in order, but all at once, piling up like drumbeats pounding on the chest of our time. These aren't just isolated news stories anymore. They're a wave. Looking at the whole thing, what's really scary isn't just how serious each event is, but how fast they're coming. The time between these big happenings is getting shorter. We barely have time to get over the fear from one before humanity gets dragged right into the next. Do you feel it too? That sense the world isn't giving us any time to catch our breath? This picture shows a world that's losing its order from the roots up. Nature isn't running smoothly anymore. Society isn't agreeing on things. People don't trust each other, and violence shows up like an old habit. No need to exaggerate. Just put the pieces together, and you see a clear trend. All the foundations that used to hold the world steady are shaking at the same time. When you put this picture next to the Bible, the similarities give you chills. Matthew 24:6-8 warns plainly, "You will hear of wars and rumors of wars. Nation will rise against nation. There will be famines and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of birth pains." Doesn't what we're seeing look a lot like a beginning? It's not just wars or disasters. The Bible also talks about cracks in people's hearts. 2 Timothy 3:1-2 says, "In the last days there will be difficult times, for people will be lovers of themselves, lovers of money, boastful, proud." When cheating becomes normal, when self-interest clouds conscience, isn't this the moral breakdown the Bible describes? What's worth noting is that the Bible doesn't describe the end times just with disasters, but with hearts growing cold. Matthew 24:12 goes on, "Because of the increase of wickedness, the love of most will grow cold." The violence in Aleppo, chaos on the streets, or indifference to others' pain, all of it reflects a quiet but fast-spreading coldness. How used to bad news have we gotten? A massacre, a disaster, a big scandal. Do they still shock us like they used to? Or do we just scroll past and go on with our day? That getting used to it is the most dangerous sign of all. The Bible also warns about false peace. Jeremiah 6:14 says, "They say, 'Peace, peace,' when there is no peace." The world today still talks about recovery, stability, growth, but underneath are cracks getting wider. Are we being reassured or just lulled to sleep? When you put these 7 events together, you see a familiar rhythm from the book of Revelation. Revelation 6 describes seals being opened, each one bringing war, famine, death, and widespread fear. I looked, and there before me was a pale horse. Its rider was named Death. That image isn't just a symbol, it's a process. What's worth thinking about is that these signs aren't focused in one country or region. They're scattered everywhere, but happening all at once. That togetherness creates a sense of urgency, like some invisible clock of history is speeding up. Time doesn't seem to flow evenly anymore. It's being stretched tight. Do you ever feel like the future is getting harder to see clearly each day? Long-term plans feel fragile. Faith in lasting stability fades a little more. It's not just personal, it's the mood of a whole generation living in the overlap between old and new, between order and chaos. The Bible doesn't give exact dates or times, but it always stresses one thing: staying awake. Matthew 24-42 reminds, "Therefore keep watch, because you do not know on what day your Lord will come." Staying awake here isn't blind fear, it's recognizing the time we're living in. These 7 events aren't meant to make us panic, but to force us to look at the full picture. A world shaking both physically and spiritually, humanity moving faster than it can control. And in that picture, time isn't something we have plenty of anymore. Revelation 10-6 has a short but haunting line: "There will be no more delay." Whatever way you read it, the message is clear. There are times in history when waiting around isn't an option anymore. The question is, what will we do when we realize that? As we wrap up this summary, the picture isn't just darkness, it's an urgent wake-up call. The signs are here, the pace has picked up, and the chaos isn't far off anymore. Humanity, in every real sense, may not have much time left to keep looking the other way. The issue isn't whether something will happen, but how awake we'll be while it's happening. And maybe that's exactly what the Bible wants to stir in each of us. Before the picture turns to the next page, as we wrap up everything we've just seen, one thing stands out clear as day. The world today is unfolding just like the Bible warned about thousands of years ago. Chaos isn't the exception anymore. It's become the normal way of things. Wars, violence, wickedness, natural disasters, and people growing cold-hearted are all showing up at the same time, like the final markers on the path humanity is walking down. This isn't meant to scare anyone, and it's not just pointless gloom. It's a straightforward comparison between what's happening right in front of us and what the Bible described long ago. As these signs match up more and more, coming faster and stronger, the question isn't, is this really it anymore? It's, how are we going to respond? The Bible keeps saying that time isn't endless. We don't always get one more chance to put things off. This growing chaos is an urgent reminder that we're standing very close to the line. We're making a choice, can't wait any longer. Running out of time doesn't mean running out of hope. It means there's no room left for indifference. The path it points to isn't about running away or panicking. It's about turning back to God with a humble heart, real repentance, and true faith. Prayer isn't for escaping reality. It's for standing firm in it. Repentance isn't just out of fear. It's recognizing we need healing from the inside. In a world full of noise, take a quiet moment to pause. Ask yourself what you're really putting your trust in, and whether it's strong enough to carry you through the days ahead. Faith doesn't wipe away troubles, but it keeps you from falling under them. And right now, that faith needs to be placed in the right spot. If you feel something stirring in your heart, don't keep it to yourself. Leave a short prayer below, or share your honest thoughts about the 7 events we just covered. Your words might lift up someone else who's confused, scared, or searching for answers just like you. If this has helped wake you up and see the bigger picture of our times more clearly, please like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next warnings. Every share isn't just support. It could be the bridge that gets this message to more people who need to hear it. Finally, thank you from the bottom of my heart for sticking with me to the end. In a chaotic, hurried world, taking time to stop and think is a precious choice. May God guide you, protect you, and give you peace, even as everything around us keeps shaking.
Oh, that'd be cool.
You know, the ocean is stirring. Under the thick black waters of the deep sea and big rivers, things that were once sleeping are starting to thrash, rise up, and quietly watch. The Amazon is churning, cold lakes are shaking, dark swamps suddenly show unusual movements. Can you feel it? The underwater world seems like it won't stay silent anymore. From Brazil to Georgia, 7 strange phenomena are showing up one by one, trailing along, challenging human reason. Nameless creatures, half familiar and half strange, emerging right when humanity is most lost. But these things the Bible warned about long ago. Beasts will rise from the sea, and now, with the signs no longer hidden, a haunting question echoes. Could those creatures be messengers from the abyss, calling for the doom that's coming? So don't miss this, because the info below will make you ponder, get chills, and wonder if humanity's time is running short or not. Now let's dive in with me to check out each phenomenon, starting with 1. A massive herd of snakes moving under the Amazon River. Deep in the Amazon basin, the biggest river system on Earth, something is happening that leaves even seasoned researchers speechless. Under the murky water, where light barely reaches, a wave of life is on the move. It's not fish or swirling currents, but hundreds of huge bodies twisting together, slithering along, pressed close like one single creature coming awake. The Amazon stretches more than 4,000 miles through the thick jungles of Brazil, where people are just passing visitors. Here, life and death go hand in hand quietly. But this time, what's rising up isn't the usual cycle of nature. A military drone scanning a remote stretch of river caught footage that sends chills down your spine. Below the surface, hundreds of anacondas, up to 30 feet long, are tangled together, moving as one in a smooth, eerie rhythm. They're not hunting, not separating, not in chaos. The whole massive group curves and rises and dips, like it's following some unseen command. Many think this could be a breeding area, but no records show a gathering this large or this perfectly in sync. The images quickly reminded some believers of ancient prophecies. In Isaiah 27:1, the Bible talks about Leviathan, the fleeing serpent, the twisting serpent that God will punish in the last days. Revelation 12:9 calls it the ancient dragon, the one who deceives the whole world. And in Job 41, Leviathan is described as a creature no human can tame, pull up, or control. Is what we're seeing coiling under the Amazon just a coincidence? Of course, scientists were quick to weigh in. They say it's likely migration due to climate change or a rare natural behavior. But the thing is, the video shows near-perfect coordination, the kind wild animals almost never achieve. Those plain explanations don't quite touch what really unsettles people, the feeling that something is waking up. When you put this alongside the bigger picture in the Bible, many believe it's more than just biology. It's a sign of ancient forces stirring, of chaos allowed to show itself before the final stage. The Amazon, the river of life, has now become a place where darkness thrashes in silence. And if that herd of snakes isn't just gathering and then fading away, if they keep searching, spreading, swallowing everything in their path, the scariest question still hangs there. Could those movements deep in the Amazon be the first whisper of Leviathan rising from the depths? 2. A human-like creature with a fishtail in the Moroke River. The video showed up out of nowhere, but in just a few hours, it shook up the whole internet. An amateur diver was filming underwater in the calm current when he suddenly caught sight of something that didn't look like any ordinary creature. It didn't dart away in panic or try to hide. Instead, it swam around slowly, almost like it knew it was being watched. The Moroke River is a remote spot in Asia, a freshwater river as deep as 100 feet, and hardly anyone ever goes there. That isolation has kept it pretty much off the scientific map. Down in the dark water, light gets swallowed up fast, creating a quiet but heavy pressure where every movement feels strange. And that's exactly where this creature appeared. Not just a quick glimpse, but long enough to give viewers chills. The footage shows the upper body looking human, with clear shoulders, head, and arms, while the lower part is a long fishtail covered in scales, moving smoothly. The hands have webs between the fingers, waving gracefully in the water. What really got to a lot of people